Hello everyone and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Winnipeg for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou and today we're going to be watching the round 3 match between Crushcastles, who's playing their signature combo deck Hellbent Speed or Crazy Train, which is a mono blue artifact deck which aims to play a bunch of cost reducers like Hellbent Speed, draw through its deck, and then eventually use Lab Mana-like to win the game from having an empty library. On the other end of the table, we have Mikkjal, who is playing Blue-Black Horrors Control. It's a control deck which uses a bunch of standard control tools, but its main win con is Kedrika Deep Dweller, a 4/4 for 4 that I believe gains Lifelink, Menace, or Indestructible whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. So, quite a versatile threat that can kind of just tear up boards if you just cast a bunch of spells into it. It also draws you into a card on when it connects and makes them discard a card, I believe. So really amps up card advantage if you can keep getting it to hit in. So Crushcastle's playing a Sage's Ashes and then a Warded Tome. Hellbent Speed is now at 2, so all non-creature spells cost 1 less. The main thing that's really notable is that 2 Sage's Ashes do loop, so Crush can... Okay, he's going to play Mysterious Coffer just to buff up the Hellbent Speed a little bit. But yeah, if you get double Sage's Ashes, you can just keep looping them ad infinitum, and then that's that just draws your entire deck. So Crush is mostly out of gas, has a Warded Tome to draw a card, but also has Ride the Storm to be able to gas all the way back up. Meanwhile, on end, Mikkjal is going to use Zadina Outskirts to ramp up. It's pretty cool. It's a land that it itself functions as 2 mana ramp from your hand. And at instant speed, no less, for controlling decks. So Mikkjal is just going to play another land and pass. The Strike from Shadows are basically useless in this matchup, but keeping up Darklands Charm plus the and/or an Unraveling is pretty good. The problem is once Mikkjal runs out the Unraveling on the Ride the Storm, they kind of don't have any more relevant interaction in their hand. Oh yeah, and this is a really big problem, actually. Hold on. Yeah, this is really bad. Because I think if you're Crush, you run out the Ride the Storm now costs 4 less, so it's 4 mana. I think you could run out the Ride the Storm just to bait out counter magic, and then next turn play Sage's Ashes and combo off. I guess it depends on what Crush thinks is more important, but... I also forget how Flawless Counterfeit interacts with Sage's Ashes because, well, I guess it's 2 mana. It's 2 mana from hand, so it'll still cost 1 each loop is the issue. But you can loop it a few times to put some more counters on Hellbent Speed. Crush is going to try and cast a Sage's Ashes number 2. Mikkjal's going to let this resolve, which I think is kind of a mistake. Though I guess the idea is if Crush goes to combo off, you can counter the last passage. The issue is that doesn't really work because Crush will... I don't think Crush has played... Has Crush played a land this turn? Crush did play a land this turn. No, but it doesn't matter because Hellbent Speed discounts, so you can just get multiple copies of... what do you call it? Last Passage, which is essentially a spell-based Lab Man, and then cast it. But yeah. So Mikkjal really has to choose a good interaction point for Unraveling here before things get too out of hand. Okay, so we have an awkward situation here where... Hold on. Okay, I think there was a weird thing there where it looked like Mikkjal let Crush resolve Ashes and then tried to counter its ability on the stack with an Unraveling, which doesn't work. But then both of them just acted as though it was countering the Ashes originally on the stack, which I guess is fine. But yeah, then Crush gets to immediately run out the Ride the Storm. So grabs 2 more Ride the Storms, Northern Express lines galore, and I think that, yeah, you can just free cast the Northern Express lines now, and then poke up the Hellbent Speed to 6. Yep. So now, draws a card here. This is pretty much a situation where if Crush gets to untap, I think they just win the game. Spell Pierce is an extremely clutch top deck for Mikkjal. Can Darklands... Darklands Charm cannot return instant or sorcery, so that's still not great. But yeah, at least Spell Pierce gives an interaction point, and then Darklands Charm can potentially hit another Spell Pierce if needed. Or if mana is an issue, Darklands Charm can potentially hit another Unraveling. Okay, so Crush going to play Enlightened Sigil. This cheapens all artifacts by 2. Then Crush can attempt to combo off with Flawless Counterfeit. And the problem is, of course, since Flawless Counterfeit is going to be free, the Spell Pierce does nothing to it. See, up here comes a Flawless Counterfeit. Mikkjal has to let this resolve, doesn't have interaction. Though really, I think at that point you Darklands Charm in response and try to dig for another piece of counter magic. Oh no! Copies the sigil naming artifact? I kind of disagree with that. I feel like, yeah, no, I don't get this play at all. You can just Ashes loop with counterfeit plus Ashes here, right? And Mikkjal is just going to F6 despite having the Darklands Charm and the Spell Pierce. Yeah, this is a lost game. Crush gonna play out a last passage again. This point basically just means that until end of turn, just wins. Okay, gonna crack a bunch of the omens to filter through these lands. Doesn't really need them anymore, but can't stop hitting them now. It seems. Yeah, it just goes island into Eternal Reactor into Eternal Reactor. Okay, gonna play the Northern Express line for free. Draws another card. Looks like we might be getting the full playset of Eternal Reactors back to back here. Free cast the Glistening Chalice. Oh my god, is it actually? It's actually the full playset of Eternal Reactors stacked one on top of each. I don't think I've ever seen this where a full playset is in order on top of someone's library. And Crush in chat like, yeah, you got that on video, right? Oh my god. Hey, Crush gonna play the Ride the Storm, but actually doesn't have enough mana left to prevent Mikkjal from spell piercing this. The problem is Mikkjal already F6'd, so okay, and draws a second Sage's Ashes off of that. That should just be game. Yeah. Which is weird because like this did not need to be game if Mikkjal had just not F6'd. I guess Mikkjal can say like, hey, whoa, I'm actually gonna do something now, but like, because Mikkjal does have the Spell Pierce, which ends this loop and doesn't win Mikkjal the game by any means, but staves off the threat for a turn. Which again, unless I'm missing something, Crush could have avoided this outcome by just playing Counterfeit as a copy of Ashes and doing the loop that way. And Mikkjal conceding, which is kind of sad, again, given that they had the Spell Pierce in hand. I'm not sure why they just chose not to use it there, or why they F6'd at all. But I don't know if that was a winnable game for Mikkjal, but they certainly could have gotcha'd Crush at some point during that loop, or like, yeah, there's just lots of points where Mikkjal could have tried to intervene to stop the combo and just chose not to. But yeah, let's look at sideboards and see how Mikkjal can mitigate the matchup out the side, because definitely don't want to be drawing like 3 removal spells and a wipe versus the combo deck. So for Mikkjal, I think you definitely want the Stolen Secrets, you want the Still the Pandemonium, probably also want Seal the Tomb, so that's a fat 10 bring-ins right there. But let's say you take out 2 Noxious Upwellings, you take out 4 Strike from the Shadows, and then like you take out 4 Twilight Ambush. Yeah, that's it. You take out all of your removal, and that perfectly slots in for 4 Stolen Secrets, 4 Still the Pandemonium, and 2 Seal the Tomb. Hand attack, non-creature counter magic, and screw your combo piece, which if you hit this on a last passage, I don't think that Crush has any ways to win, but let's look at his deck list now. So on Crush's side, oops. Yeah, so it looks like it's a pretty streamlined combo deck. Forge Master's Altar is useful if you think that Mikkjal is going to be siding out the wipes as an alt-win con, because like if you're scared of Last Passage being doinked by a Seal the Tomb, you can bring in like 1 or 2 Forge Master's Altar as an alternate win con that also plays off the wipes. There's also a whole like aggro backup plan in the sideboard with Nightwatch Rallier and Clockwork Gaucho, which that's an interesting transformative plan if Crush expects Mikkjal to side out all their removal. Definitely something to keep Mikkjal on their toes. So it looks like Crush did bring in some of the aggro game plan cards. Has a Nightwatch Rallier in here. The rest of the hand is a little awkward. It's more of a combo-y hand than an aggro hand, but does have a single Sage's Ashes and a Glistening Chalice, which again, Glistening Chalice plus Sage's Ashes does loop if you have a way to draw a card. Unlike Hellbent Speed, it doesn't draw a card on its own. Meanwhile, it looks like Mikkjal did bring in Still the Pandemonium, and this is a lot better hand than last time, as 2 pieces of counter magic and a cantrip. Crush going to play the turn 1 Eternal Reactor. You really want to get counters up on that as early as possible, and then plays the Sage's Ashes just to have it down there. Meanwhile, Mikkjal top decks a land and passes, has mana up for Darklands Charm, and Still the Pandemonium. I suspect Crush is going to try and run out this Glistening Chalice, and then it's going to get countered. Yeah, I think Mikkjal is scared of these cost reducers, as far as I know. Or at least, I think, should be scared to some degree. So yeah, is going to Still the Pandemonium that. Crush passing a little bit too quickly, forgetting that Mikkjal does in fact have 2 mana counter magic in his deck. And Still the Pandemonium is kind of insane, because it also gives Mikkjal a clue here. And Mikkjal drawing into yet more counter magic, the Spell Pierce as well. And yeah, if Crush's hand was more aggro-oriented, you could definitely dunk here with the Nightwatch Rally on turn 2, into some other stuff on turn 3, but right now it's a little bit too combo-oriented to actually make use of the Haha Gotcha artifact aggro sideboard plan. It looks like Crush is going to play Northern Express line for its normal cost and then pass. If you're Mikkjal, do you counter this? Yeah, okay, he's going to Spell Pierce it. I can kind of see the logic behind this, since it functions as mana denial, since they didn't play a land that turn, so you can assume that they don't have one. And it's also useful because Spell Pierce gets worse the more mana they have, so might as well use it for mana denial anyways. And now Mikkjal is still in a pretty reasonable spot. Has Unraveling up to counter something if needed, otherwise on end can go Darklands Charm, crack the clue, and go up a card. And Crush, really stuck on mana here, really wants these Enlightened Sigils, which straight up does not have the mana for them. He's gonna try and Sage's Ashes here for a land, but presumably. No? Looks like there's not a land on top of Crush's library. He's just gonna try and flawless counterfeit. This does give Crush the double Ashes that so if Crush top decks Mikkjal just gonna Unraveling this. I kinda don't like the Unraveling here, honestly. Like, I don't think that Mikkjal is doing any threat assessment whatsoever, is kind of the issue. It feels like they're just playing interaction to play interaction, which is cool if you're tempo and you have a clock, but Mikkjal doesn't. And sure, they had a lot of counter magic, but I think spending it on the Glistening Chalice makes sense. I think spending it on the Northern Express line makes sense. The flawless counterfeit makes me start to feel like they're kind of just countering Crush's spells to counter Crush's spells. And the main phase Clue Crack feels kind of weird. Does top deck into another Spell Pierce, though. Okay, third land for Crush Castles here. I kind of feel like Crush should just play Nightwatch Rallier and just put a clock on the board. I don't know, the Enlightened Sigils are not exactly doing much. He's going to try and run out the Enlightened Sigil, though. And yeah, this is definitely Mikkjal just running out counter magic because they have it. And I don't think that it's... I guess, again, Enlightened Sigil does cheapen stuff, but yeah, I don't know that Mikkjal is doing threat assessment here. Still, is going to keep top decking counter magic, so yeah, I guess if you keep top decking counter magic, you can rest assured that you can 1-for-1 them for days. I just don't know how reasonable of a plan that is in the long term. Although Crush's Eternal Reactor is at 5 mana. So actually, an interesting thing is, next turn, if Crush tries to cast another Enlightened Sigil, puts Eternal Reactor up to 6, can then cast Nightwatch Rallier for X equals 3, and then it'll be able to crew Brinefleet Bay, which is kind of interesting as a close to 3-turn clock on Mikkjal. He draws another Eternal Reactor. Yeah, can actually just do that this turn, can cast Nightwatch Rallier X equals 3. I think that's pretty worth it, honestly. Again, I think it's way more worth it than trying to cast an Enlightened Sigil or a Last Passage. They do not advance your board state at all at this point, and you don't really have a chance of comboing off, really, with the current hand that you have. Or Crush could just keep jamming Enlightened Sigils. I think, weirdly, it's working, because I think, again, Mikkjal has 0 threat assessment, so it's just going to counter each and everything that Crush puts on the stack. So I guess you could say Crush is just baiting out counter magic before running out the Nightwatch Rallier, but I think at a certain point you just gotta you gotta just jam it. You gotta advance your board state. Okay, Mikkjal almost out of cards, but does have the clue from the still, and is also going to be able to Darklands Charm here. So can definitely refuel on interaction if need be. And if they hit a Kedrika Deep Dweller, definitely could become an issue. because with lifelink it can potentially outclock the Brine-Fleet Bay, but no, just hits another Still to Pandemonium, which makes sense. Not going to crack the clue, though. I think it makes sense to just crack the clue here. And yep, is just going to crack the clue. Yeah, Mikkjal definitely getting quite flooded here. Pun unintended. That's another land, yeah. Okay, another Nightwatch Rally. Okay, so I think if you're Crush here, you Eternal Reactor for 6 mana, play Nightwatch Rallier. Brine-Fleet Bay is still untapped. You can use Nightwatch Rallier to crew Brine-Fleet Bay, swing in for 5. And then you have Mikkjal on just shy of a 3-turn clock. You can play another Nightwatch Rallier next. Actually, oh no, that's actually really filthy because I think then because it becomes an artifact creature. So the Brine-Fleet Bay will actually be hit for 8 and kill in 2 turns. If Crush plays like a Last Passage right now, I swear to God, he's no. Crush, what are you doing? I actually don't know what Crush is doing. Is Crush trolling? Did Crush forget about Eternal Reactors? No. Crush, what are you doing? And like, if you're worried about counter magic, just force them to have it. You have 2 Nightwatch Ralliers. Like, come on. Okay. Mikkjal drawing into a cantrip, Oracle's Omission. This will allow for some library thinning. Hopefully take out some lands so that Mikkjal can draw into more gas, and so on. I'm going to do this main phase, presumably to try and draw into a Kedrika Deep Dweller. So yep, and a surprise to no one, Mikkjal is going to exile 6 lands from their library. Increase their chances of hitting a non-land card a little more. They do hit a Noxious Upwelling. Looks like they did keep that in the main deck. Interesting. So yeah, notably this does mean that Crush has to play Nightwatch Rallier for X equals, so for 10 mana to be able to avoid this. I don't know if Crush is just actually insanely big brain and was trying to wait so that the Nightwatch Ralliers can outsize, or if Crush was just punting on previous turns. Can only get up to 9 mana this turn. So I don't know what Crush is waiting for. I really don't. But if Crush had just played the Nightwatch Rallier last turn, Mikkjal would be dead this turn, because Mikkjal plays Noxious Upwelling, kills the other Nightwatch Rallier, you play your second one and kill them with Brine-Fleet Bay. So, also in a tremendous move, Crush is tapping the Brine-Fleet Bay instead of the other island. Crush, what are you doing? Oh no. I mean, I don't like to get mad on the mic, but this feels like such a punt. Also, Mikkjal also punting, not realizing that Still to Pandemonium says non-creature spell. Say Nightwatch Rallier 4/4, and again, Crush punts by not swinging in with Brine-Fleet Bay there. Another Noxious Upwelling. This means that Mikkjal can kill both of the Nightwatch Ralliers if Crush plays them back to back. So yeah, Mikkjal just going to Noxious Upwelling and has more than enough lands to sacrifice to reverberate it. At least now Crush knows that Mikkjal kept these in, and therefore will probably be a little bit more careful and play Nightwatch Rallier X equals 5 next time, which just involves waiting another turn. But again, this should have been Crush's game, but kind of botched it here. Mikkjal playing a fetch untapped for some reason, and just losing 2 life for, absolutely no reason. Notably, this does mean that Brine-Fleet Bay kills in 3 hits on its own now, though again, doesn't really matter if Nightwatch Rallier is the one crewing it. So it looks like Crush is going to pay 2 for Northern Express line. Let's see if Mikkjal's Mikkjal's threat assessment actually coming in clutch for once. Not going to counter the Northern Express line. However, next turn, Crush can play Nightwatch Rallier X equals 5. But just in time, Mikkjal top decking the Kedrika Deep Dweller. But yeah, if you're Crush, I think you just untap, play because you played for X equals 5, and then you can crew Brine-Fleet Bay immediately to swing in for 10 damage. So yeah, please do that, Crush. Please remember that you have Brine-Fleet Bay. I am begging you, oh god. Nope, Crush taps Brine-Fleet Bay for some godforsaken reason. Okay, I guess it's going to play Nightwatch Rallier X equals 6. But again, just play it X equals 5 and then swing in with the Brine-Fleet Bay for 10. Why are you like this, Crush? Why? Oh wow, and Mikkjal can now just play double Kedrika Deep Dweller. Double Deep Dweller still can't block a Brine-Fleet Bay, though. Okay, Crush is going to play the Plasma Enforcer. Comes in as a 1/1 because Crush's deck is mono blue. And please, God, it even has the power and toughness marked on it. Please, God, let Crush remember that Brindefleet Bay is a creature. O Lord, who thou art in heaven. I'm just like, it's the one reason you play this land. I guess it's an art. Oh my God, dude. They're going to be talking about this one in the history books. I swear to God. I know, I'm heated. I'm like, I need to go and like, you know how when you pull the thing off the kettle or the teapot or whatever and the steam comes out? You got to do that for me, dog, because I'm fit to boil. Okay, you're going to drop a Stolen Secrets. The main reason that they're doing this really is to do the triggers on Kedrikit, but Mikkjal might have screwed this up. I guess you can call it out of order, but see, the thing is, the triggers go on the stack above Stolen Secrets, and you only choose the type when you resolve Stolen Secrets, and you could argue that, like, Mikkjal got new information by being able to look at Crush's hand. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but definitely in a tournament setting, I think that this is kind of a faux pas to resolve the Stolen Secrets first, and then resolve the Kedrikit Deep Dweller triggers. Okay, Mikkjal gonna go for Menace on both. Now Crush remembers that he has a Brindefleet Bay? Huh? Okay. Looks like is going to double block one of the Deep Dwellers. Sure. Takes 4 and on the crackback can deal 18. Which, if you knew that you had Brindefleet Bay, why have you not been just killing last turn? Or even before that? I'm like, I really need to pick Crush's brains for what he was playing around. Because I am shooketh. I'm shocked at. So yeah, now Crush does have to discard the last passage. Wow, okay, and Mikkjal, I was going to say, Mikkjal's only out here is to Noxious Upwelling and then reverberate it to kill Plasma Enforcer. Because now on the crackback, they're dead on board. Because Crush animates Brindefleet Bay, swings for 18 with Plasma Enforcer plus Brindefleet Bay. Okay, and it looks like Crush, top decking a second Sage's Ashes, is now going to be able to Ashes Loop and then Sea of Skies Beyond to refill his hand. Though honestly, at this point, does it really matter? Also, Mikkjal has this horrible habit of, like, Still the Pandemonium in response to the ability. But yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. Counters the Ashes to stop the Ashes Loop, but now just swings in for 18 and wins the game. Okay, cracks the clue, draws an Oracle's Emission. I don't know what outs Mikkjal even has here. Like, did they keep in any of the removal? Like, they didn't even tap right to have Strike from Shadows as a removal option, so I don't think they have literally any outs. Because Twilight Ambush is the only thing they can play right now, and Twilight Ambush doesn't kill any of the attacking creatures. So I think Mikkjal is just screwed. Yeah, and Mikkjal says, what am I doing actually? Realizes themselves that they're just dead. And with that, Crush takes it 2-0 over Mikkjal in, honestly, a very spaghetti set, but one that was very entertaining nonetheless. But yeah, until next time, this is going to be Caillou signing off.